Okay, we are live. Welcome. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Let's chat about Freemasonry. And today, actually, I was thinking of taking a little bit of a different tact. Uh, this still applies to Freemasonry, but it can apply to a lot of other areas as well. I've known a few brothers, unfortunately, especially elderly brothers, who have been victims of scams. And the holiday season, unfortunately, can be people can be a little bit more at risk for scams, or scams can be more frequent, more ubiquitous. So I was thinking about talking about some tips on ways to avoid scams, ways to recognize scams, ways to recognize fraud, why it's so important. CIBC, which is my bank, actually has a lot of really excellent tips, which I was considering sharing. Tips on how to identify fraud, fight back against fraud, etc., etc. So I was going to start by talking about some of the different items, phishing, etc., etc. But that'll be in 1 hour. But I do think, unfortunately, I've known a lot of Masons who've fallen for scams. And so, yeah, I guess what I'd say is I think it might be worth chatting and talking about ways to recognize them, ways to avoid them, and what to do if you know somebody who may be falling victim to a scam, especially if they're a Masonic brother or otherwise. No filter. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. That's a really good question, Linking Alice. Welcome, Linking Alice, by the way. Thank you for being here. I'm, I don't know. I'm, I'm much less alarmist about artificial intelligence than I think a lot of people are. I tend to be fairly technology positive. I think almost everything in life that I have that I enjoy, even my ability to do this, all of that comes from technology. So my suspicion is whether AI takes your job or not, the job you currently have, or your, not even takes your job, I know you said you're not working right now, but takes your field. I do think AI will create opportunities for different jobs, different types of jobs. I mean, before the car, no one could imagine an auto mechanic as being a job, right? Um, and I'm sure a lot of people who were responsible for maintaining horses were quite concerned about the car's development. So I'm probably much more positive about technology, including AI, than most. I think we're probably going to be okay. Um, of course, Courtney, you are always welcome. I hope that you are doing well as well. Let me actually do this as a poll question for my topic today. Do you know anyone who has been the victim of a scam? Unfortunately, I can answer yes to this poll question, so which is unfortunate. And again, scams, frauds, they are more ubiquitous, they are more common, unfortunately, during the holiday season. So I think it's worth exploring those things and talking about them. Yes, well, I do think, Courtney, it makes more sense to be optimistic. Better to be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right, I think, as a general rule. Body Transformer says towhead. Yes, I do have a towhead, but you can hit the like and subscribe button, and it would be much appreciated. And don't forget, by the way, um, we still have our Patreon available. If you sign up for paid membership, you are eligible for a gift this Christmas. So keep that in mind with this holiday season. I'm going to be sending those out shortly. Um, Uh, do I like Michael Jackson? I mean, sure. I'm not a huge fan or anything, but some of his songs I really like. I can't even think of the name of the songs now. The Way You Make Me Feel is probably my favorite song of his. I also really enjoyed the what he did with Akon. I thought that was really, really good. So, yeah, I like Michael Jackson. One of the greatest performers of all time. I don't think you can deny that. Even if you're not a huge fan of him, can't deny his impact on the community and on the world. So, what I'm also a fan of is people hitting the like and subscribe button. I mean, I would say just a friend linking out. When you join Freemasonry, you can call me brother. I mean, I don't really mind what you call me, but I would say whatever you're comfortable with. Like, keep in mind, if you call me brother, some people might think you're a Freemason. So maybe friend works better. That's the smart thing to do, Dad. Unfortunately, a lot of people do fall for those type of scams, which is very unfortunate, but it happens. Um, and by the way, I got your email. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Thank you so much for that. Um, by the way, I can also make an announcement. Maybe I'll make the announcement half an hour in. So let's make a special announcement 30 minutes into the stream. But for now, let's wait to see who joins. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how you're doing and let me know what you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, I should say. Nice. What are some of the things that you've learned, Courtney, about Freemasonry in Scotland? What are some of the things that you've picked up that you find most interesting? As me just being in Scotland, I think that's particularly cool. Edinburgh, by the way, beautiful town. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful town. Hello, Bishop. Thank you, linking. I'm working on it. Just takes time and effort, you know. Thank you for being here, Bishop. I hope that you are doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know what is new. And if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. I'm doing well. Just got back a couple days ago from the old country, from England and Scotland. Had a great Masonic meetings there. Great time. Loved it. Congratulations, by the way. I should mention this as well. That is very true, Courtney. It does come from Scotland and England. Most people would say Scotland first. I would agree with that, but yeah. Congratulations to Alexander. Sorry, hold on just one second. Let me make sure I get his name correctly. Alexander Moncrief, the new Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of Scotland. I got to meet him a couple days ago very quickly when I was in Scotland. Very nice guy. I actually got to see him as he was preparing to close the lodge, which again demonstrates his commitment going in as Grand Master and still taking the time to learn how to close the lodge or practice. He already knew how to do it, obviously, but taking the time to practice, not just assuming he would get it right. That is very impressive. So you're not going to get timed out long. At least I don't think you would. Thank you for being here. So, Bishop, like I said, how's your day going? Are you searching for things about Freemasonry? Ask away, threshold moment. I can't promise you I'll have the answers, but I'll do my best. You're not having a good day? I'm sorry to hear that. I hope your day gets better. If there's anything, I mean, again, this channel is all about Freemasonry, but if you just want to hang out, that's cool too. 20 minutes in, I'm going to make an announcement. An hour in, I'm going to start chatting about Freemasonry. So, or not in this case, actually, about recognizing scams, how to avoid them, especially during this holiday season. But let's give it a bit of time first. Let's wait to see who joins. That's a weird question to ask. I mean, it's a complicated thing you're asking, right? The simple answer, people will say, well, it shut down because of the shoplifting. But the question is, what were the material conditions in the community that led to people having to shoplift? And that could be because of racism, could be because of things like redlining. Also, I mean, most big cities now have those same issues. The stores have the funds and the abilities to pay for security guards. Why did this store not have the ability to do so? And also, in many cases, stores in, if you're the one store in a neighborhood and there's no other stores around you, oftentimes what stores will do is they will overcharge because they know people have nowhere else to go. You see that in a lot of city areas as well, like really urban areas. If there's, let's say, one grocery shop in a neighborhood, that grocery shop will have prices 2 or 3 times as high as what it costs in the suburbs for the exact same product because they're the only game in town. There's no competition. And that can be, again, cause of racism because other shops choose not to go there. So sometimes there's not a simple answer, threshold. Sometimes things are very, very complicated. Um, your birthday just passed. Um, Happy birthday, Bishop. Congratulations. Another year older, another year wiser, hopefully. FD. I don't think life is the biggest scam. Um, um, I think life, I mean, even if you don't believe there's anything after this and you think that this is kind of all there is, one of my favorite, this comic I really like, he said something I thought was really smart. He said, um, life is a vacation from non-existence, right? You don't exist, then you exist. You get to look at sunsets and go swimming and maybe drink some wine sometimes and drink coffee if you're like me and you love coffee, listen to music, and then you go back to not existing. So I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. Material conditions don't make it okay to commit crime, but material conditions encourage crime. It's not the exclusive thing, but it's one of many. Right when I worked as a probation officer for about 5 years, and then I worked in a jail for about 5 years. And there's a lot of different causes of crime. Anybody who says there's a simple solution to criminal behavior is a foolish, foolish person. But material conditions definitely play a role. There's no question. Um, how is it going, Rondo? Thank you for being here. I hope that you are doing well. Well, then, I mean, you're not talking, you're just typing, but just hang out. No worries. We got 10 votes, by the way. Victims of scams. 60%, so 6 yes, 4 no. So then it goes back again to what, this I think just goes to prove the point. There is unfortunately a lot of scams, a lot of phishing activity happening right now. And so we kind of just have to figure out how best to deal with it, right? Or how we can protect ourselves, and in the case of Freemasonry, how we can protect our brothers from these things. A lot of people have, Lon. A lot of people have. You're not alone with that by any means. Hopefully, though, wow, I was going to say too many times, fool me once, shame on you, right? Hopefully, every time you learn how to recognize the scams and how to avoid them in future, and maybe warn others to avoid them in future. Trust is good, but don't be foolish in your trust, right? Trust but verify. I think Ronald Reagan said that, to be honest. Somebody said trust but verify. Pretty good way to leave. Um, um, well, you can be smart and foolish at the same time, but I would say trust but verify, and just remember kind of the warning signs for future, right? There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. Somebody once told me there's nothing wrong with making a mistake, but don't make the same mistakes twice, which seems like pretty good advice to me. Um, all is well with me. Did you, Rondo, did you answer the question regarding uh, um, getting scammed? And do you know people who've been scammed in the past? And if you do, what are your, have you experienced that in your own life? I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit better. I feel like, yeah, that's a little bit better of a shot. Yes. Do you know anyone who has been scammed or the victim of scams? Because today I think we're going to talk about ways to protect yourself from scams, ways to protect yourself from fraud. Because unfortunately, very sad to say, I've known several Freemasons who themselves have been victims of scams. And so I think it's worth, especially older Masons. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's a different type of scam as well, right, Lon? The type of scam we're talking about here is phishing scams, email scams, somebody contacting somebody and saying that they need money for X or Y, or pretending to be somebody that they're not. Somebody hiring somebody for a service and then refusing to pay. I mean, that's closer to fraud. That's a very specific type of crime, right? In that case, well, in all these cases, it's crimes, but certainly in that case, I would suggest going to the police or at least civil court if you can. Zach Skull says hello. Hello, Zach Skull. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you so much for being here. I think that's a good rule. I think it's a very good rule. I am a raging YouTuber, so please hit like and subscribe, Jamie. Yes, that does happen. That's another example of that's not really a scam or a fraud per se. That's more of a I don't know. That's just theft, right? Again, hopefully there's ways to avoid that, like making sure when you're sending a package, it can't be delivered except with a signature. Um, right? That's a good, so they can't just leave it on a porch. That's one, and that's something I'd advise. Even Dad, if you're sending me your information regarding, for my British citizenship, I would recommend send it so it needs to be signed to be delivered. Because I'd hate for it to get lost or get delivered to the wrong address or something like that. I remember you, Zach Scott. At least I thought I remembered you. So what is going on? How are you doing? How is your day treating you thus far? And you could argue that this is actually really important for Freemasonry as well, because unfortunately, Um, a lot of secretaries have important information about membership, especially if you're a Masonic secretary or master of the lodge. Information saved on their computers. They can be scammed. Phishing emails can be hacked. So you have to be really, really careful with information about our brothers. Yes, trust but verify is very, very valuable advice, I think. Oh, we got some celebratory things. I don't know who that is, but that might be your friend and mine. Smokey, give me 1 second. I'll be back in just one moment. I'm not going far, I promise.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, good. Oh, sorry, just online right now.
I just want to change the lights.
All right.
Okay, okay. I won't make you.
All right, guys. They're just fixing my light bulb. I'm too short to reach it myself, so they're fixing a light bulb. So give me, instead of having in the background. All right. So my question, what was your question? Oh, how do you practice to stay focused and positive? Believe me, I'm not always focused and positive. I may appear that way on stream, but I promise you that's not always the case. I think it's all about having a purpose in life, right? For me, my purpose is Freemasonry very often. As quick as promotions, it's about me trying to what's the word I'm looking for? It's about having something bigger than yourself and more important than yourself that you can focus on. If all you have to do is focus on yourself and how you're feeling, then it's not that, like, whether you have a purpose or not, I suspect you're often going to have negative thoughts and negative feelings. But I think that the exception is if you have a purpose that's bigger than yourself and more important than yourself, then even if you have a negative day or a bad day, that's not going to cause you to become depressed or lose focus because you have something more important than how you're feeling in that moment. I think very often in life we forget that, right? And we talk about Freemasonry, right? Like it's kind of like if you have a family, right? If you're depressed but you have a wife and a kid, if you're depressed and you're by yourself, then you don't feel like going to work. Maybe you don't go to work. If you're depressed but you have a wife and a kid, now you have a reason to keep going to work even if you're depressed because you got to provide for your family. With Freemasonry, it's the same thing for me. Even if I'm depressed or in a bad mood or cranky or don't feel like doing something, within Freemasonry, it gives me a purpose and a desire to keep going and to keep working. And I think, everybody can find their purpose in a different way. I think that's a beautiful thing about life. For some people, they find their purpose in family, for some in Freemasonry, for some in sports, for some in taking care of others, charity work, their career. You need to find your purpose and allow that to motivate you and allow that to keep you feeling focused. Yes, it does take at least 2 builders to screw in a light bulb. Afternoon, Michael Moore. How's it going? Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you are having a good day. Did you answer the poll question? Do you know anyone who's been the victim of a scam or scams? Because today it's a little bit of a detour. Instead of talking about Freemasonry directly, I'm going to talk about ways to protect yourself from scams. And the reason that's so important is because I have known several Freemasons, unfortunately, who have been victims of scams. So, I'm sorry to hear that, Michael. It always sucks when it's anybody, but I think when it's your mom, that probably especially sucks. Oh, I see a light on behind me, so the light bulb has been fixed.
Where's the garbage?
Oh, I'll put it in after.
There you go.
Whoa, I want to drop those. Cybersecurity, they are all increasing. You're absolutely right. Maui Monty, Jesus is King. Freemasonry includes men of all different faiths and beliefs. Actually, hold on, guys, just one sec. I'll be back in just one moment. Oh, hold on just one sec. Maybe I'll do this now, so I don't forget.
Okay, brother.
Oh, hold on just one sec. First, here you go. Merry Christmas.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
That way it's easier to get that to you now.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm actually going to be, I was going to tell you, I'm actually going to be away next week
Oh, yeah?
on leaving
Good brother.
Sunday to Friday. So I don't know if we can.
Yeah, I will come and clean up for you in a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Okay? What do you want that's clothes you have on there? You want me to wash it?
Honestly, I was going to give it all away to charity. I don't even wear
Want
them
to put
anymore.
it in and bring a big bag and just to
Sure.
throw away?
Sure.
Okay, just anything you use it, just leave it there. I will come pick up with my.
All
I
right.
do it and put it in bags and take it to Google.
All right. Cool.
Okay, and so okay,
All right.
and then when you come back, so I'll be next Friday,
Yes.
not this one,
Not this one, next one.
following.
Yeah, I leave Saturday.
Just test me.
I will.
Who I'm gone.
All right, I got to get back here.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Because you do
I'll put those up after, don't worry about it. Okay, I am back. Thank you guys so much. We have a light once again. Thank you to my wonderful landlord for fixing my light.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So, Maui Monte, let me know, do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I'm going to give you guys my announcement in 3 minutes. Something I'm very excited for. And somebody mentioned, oh, do you see membership increases for the upcoming year? That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't know. I would be very doubtful of it myself. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I guess it also depends on jurisdictional. Like when you ask the question, do I see membership increasing? Over the next year, I suspect in the Philippines it may. I suspect in Brazil and South America it may increase. In North America, I don't know. I mean, California's doing some great work lately. They have been for many years. I'm doubtful that we'll see a membership increase in North America, but who knows? I mean, obviously, the question always is a combination of two factors. It's the number of members you have entering versus the number of members that are leaving. And when I say leaving, either passing away to the Grand Lodge above or demitting, right? Membership gains versus membership losses. Having said that, Dad with the good news. Grand Lodge has quite a few applications for initiation. So there you go. There is that to keep in mind as well. So things are going to go okay, I think. We shall see anyways. We're going to give it a few more minutes. We're going to wait to see who else joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button if you're new. Answer the poll question. I'll give my big announcement in a couple of moments. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, well, I give you my big announcement. On next week on Saturday, after I am the installing master for my good friend of the channel, worship brother Igor Strukin, I am going to be traveling briefly to Chicago and then flying to Bogota, Colombia. There's a brother down there, a couple brothers down there. They have a museum of Freemasonry in South America, which will be awesome to check out and beautiful to see. Freemasonry in South America, talk about growing, is actually growing pretty rapidly. To its credit, that's not just in Colombia, but that includes Colombia. It is kind of close to Venezuela, so that concerns me a little bit, but I think I'll be okay, and I'll plan to get on any boats, that's for sure. It's a landlocked country anyways. So I will be in Bogota, Colombia for about 5 days. And I'm very, very excited. This is why it's so important that you follow me on social media. Because by following me on social media, you will... Actually, no, it's not. Sorry. I always think of it as landlocked, but there is some water around it. Oh my... No, that is be from the 7th to the 12th, basically. The 7th to the 12th. So we'll see if I can. So it is close to Venezuela. That does concern me a little bit. However, I'm sure I'll be fine. And I'm sure Bogota will be quite wonderful. And I'm sure the Museum of Freemasonry will be quite beautiful as well. I'm very much looking forward to it. And the Grand Lodge of Bogota, the Grand Lodge of Colombia, is located in Bogota. So not quite the 13th. I guess it'd be the 7th to the 12th, give or take. Another announcement I want to make is if you are a Patreon, and don't forget you can still sign up and be a Patreon, but if you are a Patreon, and you are at one of the paid membership levels, anywhere from the $3 a month to the $50 a month to anything in between, you are eligible. You will be receiving a special gift package for the holiday season. It's something I send to every Patreon every year. So I do plan to get a lot of those sent out when I return from Bogota. So my plan right now is to mail everything out on the, let me just see, get the date correct. Which is also why it's very important, if you do sign up for my Patreon membership, you leave me a proper and good mailing address where I can reach you. Doesn't have to be your home address per se if you're not comfortable with that. It can be home address, work address, whatever it might be. Just wherever you want to have your special items mailed to you. Probably will mail them out on the 15th, I think. So be prepared for that. Not too late to sign up for Patreon, by the way. You get some special, again, you can get some very special gifts. Maybe even some things from Bogota, who knows. And other announcements on the 17th of December, I am going to be doing the same thing I do every year. I am going to be doing the Salvation Army bell ringing. So I will be doing a brief live stream from the Salvation Army kettle. It's something I do every year. It's something I love doing. You can expect to see me doing some live streams from my personal channel there, just inviting people to come out and say hi. Donate to a very good cause. That will be December 17th. December 20th. I'm getting a tattoo. Me and my friends are all getting together to get a tattoo. I'm going to be maybe live streaming from that a little bit as well, just so you guys can hang out with me. Watch me and my buddies get a tattoo. December 21st, 24-hour live stream, which is going to be a blast. That starts 2 p.m. on the 21st, goes to 2 p.m. the 22nd. Last live stream of 2025. So I hope that you guys will enjoy it. And I guess the last thing I remind people of also is if you took part in my member exclusive live streams on on the 21st, either the Patreon exclusive live streams or the YouTube member exclusive live streams on November 21st. And if you won the poll questions, you will receive a special gift, or you're eligible for a special gift. I'll be sending it to you as soon as I can. So be ready for that. I'm going to try to send that to you before I send anything else. So, I mean, Colombia and Brazil, they're both in South America, but they are a little bit of a distance. Let me just... Afternoon, and that goes for you as well, Michael Moore. You won something. Actually, what I might do, if it works for you, is send it to the Detroit Masonic Temple. I will, but also, Dad, put them all up on social media, so you'll see them all that way as well. Mail your item to the Detroit Masonic Temple. Might work well. Trying to think, though. I mean, let me see if I can actually... Well, could they hold it for you? I mean, the other option is I'm going to be in Detroit on Saturday, December 6th in the evening. I got to take a bus out to Chicago. I don't know if it's worth me just dropping it off if I could, depending what time I get there. I mean, so Brazil is kind of on the other side, I think. Yeah, Brazil's on the other side of South America, but not too far. I mean, to get there, you can pass through... actually, is it next to Brazil? It might actually be... It might actually share a border. They do, yes. Brazil and Colombia share a border with each other. So where I was, Rio, it's pretty far from Brazil. It's the other side of the country, or other side of Brazil from the border with Colombia. But there you go. We'd love to have you, but keep in mind, I know that you said, I think, yeah, you have your installation as well. So if you can make it, great. Let me know so I can make sure to have your item. But if you don't make it, completely understand. We got Mr. Keeps on Ticking back. It's been a minute, but he's here. Well, it's been a minute for me, I should say. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here once again. I know that you also, well, technically my dad won for the record, but he offered you the prize that you received during a members exclusive live stream. So you'll be receiving that in the mail. I do think I'm going to send that by mail before I leave for Colombia. But Mr. Keeps, how is it going? Yes, cool indeed. Hello, Curiosity Nudge. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Hold on to that for now. Okay, I can hold on to it for a minute. I was going to mail everything as relates to Patreon December 15th. So I can maybe hold on to it till then. Um, Let me know, Mr. Keeps, were you following me on my socials while I was traveling to England? Did you see the pictures I posted from Scotland, from London? And if so, what did you think of them? Uh, any thoughts? And actually, you're probably a really good person to have on the stream today, Mr. Keeps. I'm talking about protecting ourselves from scams, whether it be, fraud, scams, pick your term. Because unfortunately, I've known several Freemasons who have fallen victim to scams over the years. Um, a lot of times it's just because they're older and they are just not as maybe careful as they should be. Um, but I do think, even though it's not directly related to Freemasonry, a lot of Freemasons are at risk of these scams. So I want to make sure that we are providing information on how to protect themselves. And a lot of this stuff I will post on my social media channels as well. So be prepared for that. I do not think 2012 was the beginning of the end. I don't think the world will ever end until this sun expands so much that it swallows the earth whole in 3.8 billion years, something like that. So we got a bit of time. But that's the planet Earth. If you're talking about like real reality as we know it ever end, I don't think that's the case. I hope by that point humans will have found a way to colonize other planets outside of our solar system, either planets that already exist, or maybe we could create some type of space station out in the cosmos to protect humanity, or maybe we build a Dyson sphere. I don't know. But I'm much more positive when it comes to technology than I think most people are. But yeah, Mr. Keeps being involved in IT probably knows as much as anybody else the dangers of online scams, how easy it is for people to be scammed, and hopefully what we can do to push against them. So what do you think, Curiosity? Do you think 2012 was the beginning of the end? So yeah, this is going to be my advice. Again, I am not an expert, so please, if you are concerned about being scammed, if you're looking for certainly financial advice, if you're concerned about being scammed, or you think you may be being scammed, talk to the police, talk to a lawyer, talk to someone you trust, but just make sure you talk to someone. One of the biggest things that scammers do is, they try to separate you from everybody else. So they'll tell you, don't talk to your friend, don't talk to the police, don't talk to your a lawyer, whatever it is, right? They want you just talking with them. And in the same token, if anybody online is offering you financial advice, talk to a professional that you trust. Talk to an accountant, talk to someone who's licensed and registered, because you're going to face the same risks. Or your bank manager. That's a very good piece of advice as well. But talk to someone that, even if you don't know them, you can confirm their credentials are legitimate. You may not know your bank manager, but you at least know the bank in which you are banking, the building, the physical location. You can just go there, talk to the person. But one thing about scams and cults, for that matter, a lot of people ask me why I think Freemasonry is not a cult, because scams or cults will try to separate you from the people you trust or the people in your life and put them above all of those other people, which is very dangerous, right? And if anybody is ever trying to separate you, then that's a warning sign, at least in my opinion. We're going to give it a few more minutes, wait to see who else joins. And then, as I said, we're going to start talking about ways to protect yourself from frauds and scams. Always, though, talk to a lawyer, talk to a professional if you have any concerns. I'm getting this information primarily from CIBC, which is my bank, but there's a lot of different. I think every bank has. Every bank, I think, has information that they provide on protecting yourself from scams. So. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes. We're going to wait to see who else jumps in the chat to say hello. The question is, Curiosity Nudge, do you believe that it was the beginning of the end in 2012? As we just wait to see who else jumps on. Also, by the way, today is Giving Tuesday, which I don't know what, let me double check what Giving Tuesday is. Giving Tuesday is a global generosity movement unleashing the power of radical generosity. It was created, hold on just one second, let me get the info about it. So Giving Tuesday, the world's largest generosity movement, founded in 2012. Its goal is to establish an annual day dedicated to giving. In 2013, Canada Helps, GIV3, and several other founding partners introduced Giving Tuesday to Canada. So keep in mind, maybe today is a day to be extra charitable. When you talk about being charitable and what that means, don't forget there's lots of different ways to be charitable. We in Freemasonry are often talk about charity and benevolence, which are two incredibly important things within Freemasonry. However, there's lots of different ways to be charitable. There's lots of different ways to be benevolent. There's lots of different ways to give. You can give of your time. You can give of your energy. You can give forgiveness. You can give understanding. You can give a friendly just space to listen. You can give a cup of coffee. You can give a gift, or you can give money, right? Or you can give your attention. All of that stuff, all of those things are examples of giving and are incredibly important. So on this Giving Tuesday, take a moment to think how you can give to those around you. There are many different ways. Yes, I got it, Conehead. However, user, that should not stop you from hitting the like button and the subscribe button. And thank you so much for being here. I hope that you're doing well. Let me know, user, do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Well, those are stonemasons, which is from whence Freemasonry came. Right? Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry in the Middle Ages. So yeah, we in Freemasonry, we think about stonework in metaphorical sense. Um, right? We use metaphors and symbols around stone masonry to convey moral lessons about how we can live better within the world, or hopefully how we can live better within the world. Um, have you ever heard of Freemasonry before, user, the fraternity? Okay, what are some of the things you've heard? And are you a fan of it? Do you like what you've heard? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh yeah, somebody asked me about do I like Europe? I like. I mean, I've not been to a lot of Europe, sadly. I need to visit it more than I have. I visited, England and Scotland recently, and I loved it. It's a beautiful part of Europe. Um, Great people, friendly people, a lot of history, a lot of Freemasonry. So that is something I really enjoyed. Beyond that, I wish I've visited Europe more and saw more of it. It's primarily been America and South America that I visited. So some stuff in the Philippines, some stuff in Europe, but in England, not as much beyond that. Okay, well, I'm hopefully here to help debunk some of those conspiracies. I've been a Freemason since 2007. So about 20 years. You're right, user. It is not what a lot of people make it out to be. There's a lot of different reasons why people kind of fall into conspiracy. In some cases, they're just, shit posting and they are just saying stuff to get a reaction. In some cases, they may genuinely believe in the conspiracies. I think oftentimes that comes down to people living very sad lives, and as a consequence of those sad lives, they feel as though they need to have someone to blame, have someone that they can kind of push against, if that makes any sense. Some secret society. In some cases, it was, like Hitler, for example, created a lot of conspiracy theories around Freemasons, tying them in with Judaism. So there's lots of different reasons why those things happen. Unfortunately, with the internet, and sometimes people just like to share stuff online without knowing anything about it. They see a conspiracy theory, they immediately hit share, just for fun, right? Um, why would you say that, Nathan? There's no guarantee. I mean, how do you know unless you try? I mean, is what I would say. I'm not saying you would or you wouldn't. I'm saying you should never assume in advance. You should always go talk to the lodge first. So by the way, user, thank you for being here. I think this is your first time being here. I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. I hope you'll check out more of my channel. Consider doing a super chat, 99 cents, and let me know if you have any thoughts. Like, if there are any questions you have about Freemasonry that I can try to answer while we hang out. We're going to give it a couple more minutes. I'm going to start on the main topic again, which is ways to avoid getting scammed. It's not a super Masonic topic, I suppose. However, I have unfortunately known several Masons who have been scammed. Um, and I think it's important that we talk a way to protect ourselves. Also, there are a lot of scammers who use Freemasonry as a front for their scams. What I mean by that is, I got these messages myself. I'm sure many other people have. I get a Facebook message from somebody saying, you have been selected to join the Masonic Lodge of the Illuminati. Um, all you need to do is send us $500 and you will be able to join our Masonic organization that's been around for hundreds of years, and you will get untold riches and success, which is obviously a scam. However, if you don't know anything about Freemasonry, if you don't know anything about how it works or what it is, and you get a message out of the blue saying, send us $500 and you will join our Masonic group and you will become infinitely rich and infinitely, influential. And maybe if you're feeling sad enough or down enough or vulnerable enough, maybe you fall for it. Who knows, right? So I think it's important to talk about that as well, how many scammers use Freemasonry or use Masonic language to kind of um, uh, uh, create scams against people, um, especially those who are vulnerable, and how you can avoid those as well. Let's see if. Well, I think, Nathan, you and I disagree. I mean, I believe COVID was a real thing. Right? I mean, I'm proud to have got my COVID vaccines. I got my most recent one a few months ago. I'm still here. I'm not glowing green yet. So what can I say? What is up, Terrifier? I hope that you're doing well. I'm doing well, Terrifier. How are you doing? One thing that's terrifying is scams. We're going to talk about those in a few minutes. It has been a while. Well, make sure if you are subscribed that you turn on your notifications. That way, whenever I'm streaming, there'll be a notification and you'll see it pop up. I've been, I was traveling. I was in Europe for a week, so I did not get to do any live streams during that time. But follow me on social media. You'll always see what I'm up to. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, follow on Twitter, and you'll see what I'm up to. Because I'm always around somewhere, How have you been, Terrifier? How have you been doing? If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at square_compass. Sorry, at square_and_compass_promotions. That is where you find me. Well, I mean, maybe try to cut down on the drinking. If you're drunk most times, that's probably not healthy, is my suggestion to you. Again, everybody makes their own decisions, but I would suggest if you are drunk most of the time, maybe it's worth talking to somebody, maybe it's worth trying to cut back. Maybe try it again, right? Just because it doesn't work the first time, rehab doesn't mean it won't work the second time, or just because it doesn't work the 50th time doesn't mean it won't work the 51st time. At least that's my philosophy. You just keep trying, right? What more can you do? Like, by definition, what more can you do but try? Try your best and keep trying. Oh, I believe it. I mean, I was a probation officer for many years. I worked in a jail for many years. So I did see a lot of people struggling with addiction to various things. Alcohol was very common, drugs was very common. Some people, it was addiction to gambling. Some people, it was addiction to, um, online. It could be pornography, but very often it was just being online, right? Terminally being online. Um, and spending all, not sleeping because they were spending all night on Facebook and posting, and that stuff can be very dangerous. There's lots of different things that people can find addictions to. Eating disorders, I think you can view as a type of addictive behavior, either the purging or the binging. So spending. So addiction comes in many different forms and many different types, and they can all be very dangerous. Good, Terrifier. I'm glad that you stopped gambling. That's good. That's hard to do. That's really not easy to do. So you should be proud of yourself um, for stopping gambling. I don't know if you talked to people or you were able to stop without going to groups. However you did it, good for you. You should be proud. I mean, I guess what I'd say, Terrifier, is, I know that this type of advice is very general, but find some people to talk to, including professionals if you feel you need to, and just take it one day at a time. I believe it, Nathan. I know a lot of people that happen to, so I would absolutely believe that is very possible. You were in a group for the gambling or for addictions in general? When you use that, you're using the past tense. Maybe it's worth talking to the group again. I don't know. Okay, well, maybe it's worth going to the group again. It's up to you, but maybe it'll help you. I don't know. Terrifier, Gym Rat. Well, first of all, congratulations and good on you for being clean and sober for 30 years. You should be proud of that. Um, it's a little bit more complicated, I think, than you're making it out to be, Gym Rat. It's not simply a matter of because they want to do it, at least not in my experience. Now, I'm someone who's never struggled with addiction, but I do think it's a little bit more complicated than you are making it out to be. I mean, because you could argue at the end of the day, everybody does anything because they want to, but the reasons for wanting to do so are very complicated. I mean, let's see. Ronald Chamberson. Hello. Good to have you here, Ronald. Thank you for being here. When you say a lot of presidents were Freemasons, I once had a teacher, and he gave me a really good piece of advice. And I've always tried to maintain it when I think about my writing, which is don't give opinions, give the facts, and let the readers decide, right? So when you say a lot of presidents, I think, were Freemasons, right? I appreciate that very much for you being here, but that's giving an opinion, right? Because a lot is a statement of, like, it's an opinion statement. It's an adjective. What is a lot? What is a little, right? What is a normal amount? That's, everybody decides that for themselves. 14 for sure U.S. presidents were Freemasons. At least 14. Some would put the number, actually, sorry, 15 presidents for sure were Freemasons. You could count Joe Biden, which would be 16 presidents. So 16 presidents were Freemasons for sure. 16 out of 45 individuals. So about 40%. So is that a lot? It could be. It depends on how you define a lot, right? But 15 or 16 presidents were Freemasons. Why people drink and do drugs? Well, you should never talk politics within Freemasonry. You should never, within Freemasonry, you're not allowed to talk politics within a lodge. Interestingly enough, I mean, the reasons are always going to be varied. There's no specific reason. Like, there's no universal reason. At least in my experience. Again, working in a jail, working in probation. Yes, I mean, obviously, outside of the lodge, the whole different thing. Even in the parking lot, going to and from your Masonic meeting, a lot of people can talk politics. But when you're in the lodge, um, you are, when you're in the lodge and you're working, there's no discussion of politics or religion. Well, Nathan, I mean, nothing is inherently a criminal problem. You're right, Jim Rat, right? It becomes a criminal problem if the government decides it should be. I mean, in theory, murder. If tomorrow the government passed a law that said murder is no longer illegal, then murder would no longer be a criminal problem, right? Um, Society decides what it considers to be a criminal versus not criminal problem, or at least governments decide what it considers to be a criminal versus not criminal problem. But Nathan, I think what you mean by that statement, drugs is a social, I think what you mean is the solution to drug use or the solution to addiction is found in social solutions and not criminal solutions. And I would tend to agree with that, at least based on my experience. I think if you are trying to find a solution to people's addictions, criminal convictions or criminal penalties or legal penalties is probably not going to be that effective, at least in my experience. It can have some value, especially in the short term, but long term, I do tend to agree that the solution is found more in social solutions than in criminal ones. Social solutions, including Freemasonry, including groups like Freemasons and groups that provide a sense of belonging, a sense of support, a healthy way to express emotions, so you do not feel as though you need to. So you do not feel as though you need to rely on drugs or other things to fill those voids. Well, I think you're right, Jim Rat. Obviously, I think if you have an addiction, then the very first thing is to recognize that you have a problem and to want to change. I mean, we talked about this a lot in probation. I can't even think of them now. The different levels of awareness from I don't have a problem at all to kind of recognizing that there's a problem but not wanting to do anything about it, to ambivalence where you recognize there's a problem and you recognize it's causing you harm, but you don't think you're ready to change, to a recognition that there's a problem and that you need to change, right? It is possible, I think, for people in some cases to, they may not be willing to admit that they're an addict, but they may not even be an addict, but to recognize that their substance use is problematic. It's causing more problems than, whatever benefits you get from having that beer after work is not worth the problems of how much it's costing you, or the problems in your family, or the fights, or having to hide your alcohol, or whatever it is, and you can start to pull back. I think that's possible. I've seen people pull back. I do think there are times when it can get to a point where it becomes like medically your body needs it. Your body is seeking it, in which case obviously you should still try to stop yourself, but you should do so with medical professionals, right? Always talk to a medical professional if you're dealing with these things, because especially depending on the type of substance, you can be at real risk of medical issues if you're trying to quit from certain types of drugs or substances. Yes, keep the snow there. Yeah, the choice has to be theirs, but we in society can help provide them with some other options as well, right? Because it's in everybody's best interest if we don't have addiction running rampant, or even just problematic drug use or alcohol use running rampant, right? It does mean it. I'm in no way, shape, or form a benefit if my neighbor has a problem with drinking or drugs or alcohol, right? And so it's in my best interests or society's best interest to make sure that if that person decides he wants help, A, he has a place to go to get help. Um, B, we have a strong civil social safety net where if he's looking for a new outlets, new things to do, new ways to interact with people. Instead of going to the bar, he can go to a Masonic Lodge meeting, or he can go to a knitting club, or do whatever it is to separate himself from some past patterns of behaviors, right? Unfortunately, as much as it'd be easier if this were not the case, we are all, um, we are all in this together for better or worse. And that means I have to have an interest in how my neighbor's doing, and my neighbor has to have an interest in how I'm doing. Or my brother needs to have an interest in how I'm doing, and I have an interest in how my brother is doing. Um, Jesus, or Jeepers. Well, I mean, welcome back, just Avery. I mean, everybody has I mean, almost everybody has at some point or another had too much to drink at a Christmas party, or blacked out. It could be a work function. It could be with family. It could be with friends. Who knows what it was? I mean, I don't know if you have anything to be ashamed about, Mr. Keeps. It's happened to many people. You are not the first and you're not the last. I mean, what I would say is, so long as you didn't drive home, which I'm sure you wouldn't, and were responsible and took a taxi, so long as it's not a regular thing, then, it happens. It's happened to many people. You're just one of many. So I don't think there's any need to be ashamed. And I think your coworkers will understand. Yeah, so then you didn't do anything wrong. I mean, it happens sometimes, right? And the fact that you're still working must mean that, I mean, maybe people were kind of rolling their eyes at you if you were had a little bit too much to drink, but that's okay. You still have the job, right? So you can't have done anything too bad. Um, well, I mean, I would suspect, Mr. Keeps, that if anybody, if you did anything offensive or improper during the parts you can't remember, that probably somebody from HR would have got in touch with you at some point and been like, we need to have a chat. So, for whatever it's worth. I mean, I guess what I'd say is maybe it's worth asking questions. I don't know, because it sounds like um, the stress of not knowing is not fun, which I'm sure it's not. At the same time, like I said, you did the responsible thing. You took a taxi. That's the most important thing, because nobody should be driving while intoxicated. Um, and next time you go out for a Christmas party or whatever it is, I guess what I'd say is just remember what happened last time and avoid avoid the same decisions. That's the best you can do, right? Well, don't do speed, Underground Thomas. Again, that seems very dangerous to me. Um, you should only take substances as directed by a doctor. Because I used to say, and I don't say this anymore, but I used to always say, I don't, consume substances. Oh, well, then there you go. But which is not true, right? I take substances. Obviously, my main substance of choice is caffeine. I drink a lot of coffee, probably way more than I should. But there's that. I also, um, I do take medications, which are substances. They are prescribed by my doctor. But the point is, um, it's not about whether you take stuff or not. It's about, do you do it responsibly? If you're taking medications, is it at the, with the doctor's prescription? And are you talking to your doctor about how you're feeling and about what you're taking? Right? One of my favorite movies of all time, even though it's a very sad movie, is Requiem for a Dream. It's about addiction. It's about four characters, three of which are addicted to heroin, and they're getting it off the street. But the fourth is an older woman. She becomes addicted to medications, to diet pills, which is basically amphetamines, but they're prescribed by her doctor. But the whole point is, like, she wasn't, and this is an indictment on the medical community too. As the pills, as she was becoming addicted, she wasn't taking the time to go and talk to the doctor about how she was feeling, what was happening, what was going on. And the doctor, to that character's discredit, was not taking the time to talk to the patient and really ask, how are you feeling? What's going on? Are you developing a problem? Do we need to stop the pills? Whatever it is. So it's one of those examples of, if you're going to be on medication, you should talk to your doctor about the pills, what they are, how they work. You should always do what your doctor says, but you should also not be afraid to ask questions. And if you feel like you're starting to have a problem with them, you should not be afraid to approach your doctor and say, I think I'm having a problem. I definitely don't agree with that, though, Nathan. I love my doctor. She's great. I love the Canadian healthcare system, actually. I know that's an unpopular opinion sometimes, but it's always treated me well. But I do think we as patients have a responsibility to talk to our doctors about what we're getting, and we should make sure our doctors are actually talking to us as well. I was given in high school. Well, I mean, everybody makes mistakes in high school. Everybody makes decisions that are probably irresponsible. Sometimes in high school, sometimes in their 40s, such as myself. But sometimes people make irresponsible decisions in their 60s. It's just about learning from those decisions and making better choices in future. I'm sorry that COVID ruined everything for you, Nathan. I hope that you're able to maybe turn things back around a little bit, since, fingers crossed, knock on wood, COVID is in the rear view. I'm doing what I can to make sure COVID stays in the rear view by getting myself vaccinated, but that's just, that's just one thing we can do. We can try to stay healthy in a lot of different ways. Exercise regularly, eat well, drink lots of water, see our doctors regularly, etc., etc. And just do the best we can, right? I think for a lot of people, COVID really challenged them. So I hope that things are getting better for you. I don't want to talk about it, Underground Thomas. Now you're making me feel old. I am 42. I am 42 years of age. Time flies. I remember when I was a kid growing up, I used to always wish time would go faster, right? I always would be really excited to grow up or get older or whatever it is. And my mom used to always say, don't wish your life away. And now I realize, as all kids realize too late, that she was actually quite correct. I should never have been in a rush to get older. It's kind of like when I see new Masons tell me they can't wait to be worshipful master. I always tell them, enjoy being an entered apprentice, for heaven's sakes. Enjoy your current time. Don't rush. This is the last time you get to just relax. All right, well, I do feel better now that James Dolan is 45. You know, I'm a young man still. I don't feel like a young man, but I'm a young man still. Um, so how's it going? James Dolan, by the way. All right, we're going to start talking about today's subject, protecting ourselves from fraud and scams. Most of this information I'm getting from the CIBC website, although I find a lot of banks, TD, Bank of Montreal, will have similar information on their websites. Right? There are different types of frauds and scams. I'm going to start by focusing on frauds that particularly affect seniors because, unfortunately, there are, Freemasonry, the average age is getting up there. We do have a lot of seniors within Freemasonry right now. There are 4 types of scams that seniors can very often fall prey to. The first are emergency scams, which is when fraudsters use a sense of urgency to trick you into sending money before you realize it's a scam. They can impersonate family or friends, claiming they've been in an emergency, requesting money or information to help them out. You can learn about emergency scams and how to protect yourself from them through CIBC. So, if someone calls you claiming to be a family member or friend in an emergency and urgently asks you for money, don't fall into their trap. Sometimes they may involve another individual posing as an authority figure, such as a police officer, to scare you. Or it could just be someone pretending to be a police officer. I've seen scams where somebody calls, says they're a police officer, they have, your daughter, your granddaughter, your whomever in custody right now, and to release them from jail, you need to send $500, right? They might know your granddaughter's name through your social media account. They may be friends with you on Facebook, saw you wished a happy birthday to your granddaughter, they learn your granddaughter's name, they get your phone number from social media, from the internet, and then they call you, right? Don't feel pressured into providing your personal or banking information to anyone. Also, be skeptical if someone asks you to wire money immediately. When it comes to these emergency scams, a big way that they get people is by creating a false sense of an emergency, forcing you to respond right away. No, Underground Thomas, we will not. I promise you that. If anybody calls you from Square and Compass saying we want your social security number, they are lying. Don't listen to them. But they create a false sense of emergency and they say they need money immediately. And by doing so, what they are doing is they are tricking you. Like, if you have time to think, somebody calls you, I'm a police officer, I have your daughter in custody, send $500. If they say send $500, in a week, you have time to think and you have time to actually consider it. You have time to call your daughter to see if she's actually in a jail somewhere. If they call you and they say you need to send money immediately, now they've put a artificial timeline on it. They're scaring you. The pressure's building. You feel like you have to answer. You have to respond right away. That's a big way that they trick you, right? Be wary if someone requests you to keep a situation confidential and not share the details of your conversation with anyone, right? They're trying to separate you from people who can tell you that it's a scam. So if somebody calls you and says, don't go to the police, don't go to a lawyer, don't talk to the bank, don't call anybody. That's a big red flag as well. Um, Talking about scams that can affect seniors and how to be aware of them. Um, Actually, we can play this. Should be able to hear it. Just give me one sec. Um, let's see if this works. Let me know if you can hear this well. Cyber fraud prevention threat and emergency.
Receive a phone call from someone who says they're your close relative and they've been in a bad accident. They ask you to send money immediately to pay their medical bills. Be careful. You may have become a victim of an emergency scam. In an emergency scam, a fraudster impersonates a loved one in order to steal a victim's money. First, they call or message their victim and pretend to be a close family member, usually a grandchild. They might say they've been in a bad car accident or that they've been kidnapped and need to pay ransom. Then they pressure the victim into sending money in order to save their life. You might not realize you've been a victim until it's too late. Protect yourself by looking out for the following signs. A call or message from someone claiming to be a close relative or friend, asking you to send money urgently. Common scenarios include needing bail or ransom, paying for emergency medical care, or help with a financial emergency. They might also demand payment in an unusual way, such as through gift cards or cryptocurrency. And they insist you must keep it a secret from the rest of the family to save them from embarrassment. You can protect yourself by remembering these 5 simple rules. Be skeptical of anyone who claims to be a close relative or friend, but doesn't sound or behave like the person you know. If they claim to be in an emergency, ask questions and try to get proof. Watch for warning signs such as being evasive, being secretive, or pressuring you to send money immediately. Do everything you can to verify their identity and their story. Call them back on a trusted number, or phone a friend or family member who knows the person well and can verify their story.
No filter, boss. You're on your
Don't
own.
reveal any personal information or identifying details about yourself or about your family member. And never send money or gifts to someone you don't know. Cybercrime is on the rise, and you can protect yourself. To learn more about fraud, including what to do if you've been a victim, visit cibc.com/fraud.
Yeah, a lot of people scam no filter, boss. So, we got some vacuuming happening. So I'm just going to go through this one more time. In an emergency scam, fraudsters pose as family members or friends. They'll call or send messages saying they're in an emergency and need you to wire money immediately. Often, fraudsters target grandparents and pretend to be their grandchild in trouble. They may claim to be in a car accident, have trouble getting home from overseas, or need money for bail. How emergency scams work. Someone contacts you claiming to be a family member or friend in emergency. Sometimes the caller is with someone claiming to be a police officer. The caller asks you questions to get your personal banking information. The caller asks you to keep the situation hidden from other family members or friends. The caller asks you to wire them money immediately. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of scam happening in like Indian call centers, but there's been some scams that have happened here in Windsor. It actually wasn't over the phone. It was people knocking on doors and scamming face to face. So to stay safe, use a known phone number to contact a family member or friend claiming to be in trouble. If, a granddaughter calls and says, I need money immediately, hang up and then call the granddaughter back at a number that you can reach them at, or, tell them you're going to call them back at such and such a number. Never send money to anyone you don't know or don't trust. Don't share credit or debit details or any personal information. Be cautious and avoid acting immediately, regardless of the situation. Avoid using untraceable methods to deliver money, such as wire transfers. Confirm the identity of the individual by asking questions a stranger wouldn't be able to answer. Tell your trusted family members or friends about the situation, even if you're told to keep it confidential. So that's the emergency scam. There's also It's a big challenge for a lot of people. It's can be very dangerous for a lot of people. Let me just get the here it is. There's telephone fraud, right? Telephone fraud is becoming more sophisticated. Fraudsters pose as representatives of trusted institutions such as banks, credit card companies, or the government. Um, Thank you, no filter. Banks, credit card companies, or the government to try to get your information or steal your money. Learn how to keep safe by spotting the signs of a phone scam. Question, and these, I mean, I do think India has a lot of these kind of phone banks. Question incoming calls, but not exclusively. And don't feel pressured by the caller. You can hang up the call or tell them you'll contact the business official phone number. CIBC will never send you a text or email asking you for banking and personal information. That's not just true for CIBC, that's true for CIBC, TD Canada Trust, any bank to my knowledge will never send you a text or email asking for personal information. I also think that's true of tax, like Canada Revenue Agency is not going to be doing that. I can assure you Square and Compass Promotions is not going to be doing that. And no Freemason should ever be doing that. So if you ever do receive a text or email from a quote unquote Masonic group asking for your banking or personal information, you should be incredibly wary of that. It's almost certainly a fraud. If it's, for example, if you're a Mason already and your secretary contacts you, asking for your address and phone number, well, your secretary needs that. Make sure it's him. Make sure it's coming from the correct email address, and you're sending it to the right place. But that's one thing. But if you're not a Mason and you have Masons contacting you saying, congratulations, you've been made a member. Can we send us your personal information? You need to be incredibly wary of that. Because that's 100%, or as much as it can be a scam, especially if asking you for your banking information on top of personal information. And what you can do in that case, contact the police about what you found, but also contact the local Masonic Lodge to let them know what happened. Getting burned back and forth here. Don't rely on caller ID. Fraudsters may disguise their identity using a legitimate organization's name and phone number. Well, no filter. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, maybe not the third time, but maybe the 20th time, right? If this is happening consistently and they get 20 or 30 complaints, they may be able to do something about it. Even if it's something as simple as contacting the government and getting the type of fraud. So let's say suddenly there's a whole bunch of phone calls coming from an organization claiming to be the Illuminati Masonic Order of the Rising Sun. If I go and complain about a phone call I got and 20 other people complain, then what the police may do, and the police have done this in the past, is send out a press release saying, we've been informed of a significant number of phone calls from people claiming to be from this organization who are requesting money and scamming people. Please be advised. So just keep that in mind. Recognize the signs of telephone fraud. Unexpected calls. The caller claims to be from established organizations such as CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, and tries to pressure you to pay an outstanding balance or provide personal information. Invasive questioning. The caller asks you for sensitive information, such as your bank account or password or social insurance number. Don't give out any of your personal banking information. We'll never call you and ask for those things. Urgent demands. The caller demands an immediate response to a technical support issue, transaction on your account, or customer service request. These demands often involve asking for personal information and threatening you with government, legal, or police action. third-party calls. The caller claims to be from a credit card company such as Visa. They may claim you've been overcharged for product or service, or they can reduce your credit card interest rate. Be skeptical of any cold calls. They talk about here where the bank will call you. Stay safe with tips to stop telephone fraud. Never give your personal or financial information to people you don't know, including your bank account or credit card details. Don't answer calls from an unknown number or one-ring calls. Let it go to voicemail. Don't trust your caller ID. Fraudsters use caller ID spoofing to change the information that appears on your display. If you receive a call from someone claiming to be a legitimate company, always ask to call them back on their official phone number. Find phone numbers on sources such as the back of your bank card, official website, or bank statement. Hang up on automated calls. Don't follow instructions in pre-recorded messages. Slow down and ask questions. Don't give in to the urgency or pressure from a caller. That's a huge, huge issue. Fraudsters use this tactic to get your information. Put your number on Canada's national do not call list. It won't stop scammers from calling, but it reduces unsolicited calls. Use call blocking or call labeling. There might even be an app. If you want to learn more about Canada's national do not call list, this is the link. Hold on just 1 second. And by the way, everybody watching this, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Good for you, Mr. Keeps, for swearing off the booze. I personally have always found it's more trouble than it's worth, but that's just my opinion. I know some people really enjoy it. Always seems to me to be really expensive and really bad for one's health without any benefits. That's just me. I know many Masons who drink, they enjoy it and don't have a problem with it and drink after meeting, whatever it is, but don't fall into problematic use. I've also known Masons who've had real problems with drinking and alcohol. But yeah, Canada's do not call list. I'm sure there's one in the States as well. Registration is free. Telemarketers have 31 days from the date you register to stop calling you. I don't know if you guys can see the link there, but it's lnte-dncl.gc.ca. I may actually put that on the stream, or on the posting the link. Okay. The other type of scam that seniors can often fall prey to, is investment scams. Right? Fraudsters entice you with promises of high returns on investments, so you invest in their fake money-making schemes. They often pressure you to make an investment decision quickly or convince you an investment is legitimate. Learn how to spot the red flags and protect yourself from investment scams. High return investments usually come with high risk. If you're promised high returns with minimal risk, do some research about the opportunity and the company. Check if the company or advisor is registered with the Canadian Securities Administrators. Don't feel pressured into making an investment decision. Take time to decide if an investment is right for you. Again, notice one of the themes here with these type of scams is being made to feel pressured, being made to feel like you have to make a decision right away. Boiler Room, which is a movie starring Ben Affleck, talked about this. And this was actually an investment scam movie where it was about people who were scamming through the stock market. Whenever they were trying to sell stocks, they would create this false sense of urgency where you have to make a decision now, or you're going to lose out forever. Usually if someone is pressuring you to make a decision immediately, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You should be very wary of it. Right? What is an investment scam? Fraudsters lure you into fake investment schemes, financial products, and services. They usually sell their scams with promises of high returns and convince you to invest by emphasizing a limited time offer, tax-free opportunity, or insider information. Right? Signs of an investment scam. You're required to pay a finder's fee in advance for certain offers. You're guaranteed a high return on a low risk or risk-free investment. You're told it's a limited time or one-time offer, and you need to act fast to avoid missing the investment opportunity. You're given insider or confidential information. Insider trading is illegal in Canada. You're pressured to send money via wire transfer to complete a transaction. Again, pressure. Well, Lewis, you can still hit like and subscribe. So staying safe. Don't feel pressured to invest your money, especially when you get investment advice from someone you're unfamiliar with. If you're unsure of an investment opportunity, seek financial advice from a trusted professional. Find information online about the company and the investment. Verify any Canadian dealer or seller in the Canadian Securities Administrators National Registration Search. Always protect your personal banking information such as your social insurance number, credit card information, and passwords. Be suspicious of investment opportunities that promise high return with little to no risk. Take your time to research the organization or company. Carefully read and understand the terms and conditions before you enter any agreement to make a purchase. And the last type of scam that can affect seniors, well, affect anybody, I should say, but I think in some cases seniors may be particularly susceptible to this, are romance scams. Right? Fraudsters create online profiles and pose as companionship seekers. They try to get you to develop an emotional attachment with their online persona. As trust builds, the fraudster shares a fabricated story that often leads them to ask for financial assistance. Once they receive money, the fraudster will usually cut off all contact with the individual. Learn how to protect yourself from romance scams. Romance scams prey on your desire for relationship and specialize in appealing to your emotions. They'll eventually ask for money to solve a made-up problem they're facing, such as a medical or family emergency. Fraudsters often discourage you from discussing your new relationship with family or friends. A fraudster creates a fake social media or online dating profile, reaches out to you. They develop a relationship with you solely through online communication and always avoid meeting face to face. The fraudster shares tales of hardship, such as needing life-saving surgery or having legal troubles. They'll ask you for money to help them. After they receive your money, they'll either continue creating stories for more money or will cut off all contact with you, right? Signs of a romance scam: the fraudster tends to communicate in a very reassuring manner to get you to trust them. The fraudster quickly professes their love for you and avoids face-to-face interactions. Their online profile is a new account that lacks much of an online presence. The fraudster claims they need financial assistance for emergency situations. You may be called by the wrong name. The fraudster interacts with several targets at the same time. Stay safe with following tips. Don't feel pressured or rush to send money to someone you've met online. Exclusively send money to people you're familiar with and have met in person. Never share your personal financial information with anyone, especially online. Fraudsters will try to get this data to get money. When developing a connection with people online, investigate their profiles and online presences to find out who they are. Search Google Images to see if the profile picture appears on the internet under another name. That's a good way to do it, Dad. Just make sure you're being extra careful and not accidentally giving out information, because sometimes that can happen. There is one more type of scam I want to mention here, not exclusively for seniors, though again, seniors can be affected by it. Um, Masonic scams, right? Which is, I've not ever heard of it being done by phone, though I wouldn't be shocked if it's happened. But this does happen somewhat by email and very frequently by messenger on social media, particularly Facebook, where somebody receives a message saying that they have been selected, or welcomed, whatever it is, into a either a Masonic order or an Illuminati order. Usually, it will be a combination of both. So one of the more recent ones I got was the I think it was actually called the Masonic Illuminati Order. Um, right. You get that email message. Very often they'll have a profile pic that will have a square and compass in the picture. Um, and usually they will make certain promises. So first of all, what they'll promise is by becoming or by accepting the invitation to be a Freemason, you will, or join their order, you will receive unlimited riches or a lot of riches, as well as a lot of influence. Um, Whether it be political influence or social influence or whatever, they don't ever really clear it, but they make promises of financial wealth and um, some type of influence within the world. They also usually talk you up, right, to make you feel good, so you're more likely to be susceptible to the scam. So they'll say, we have been watching you and we have found that you are a man of excellent character, upstanding citizenship, and a very good person. Exactly the type of qualities we welcome in our order, right? Yes, the inner circle of the semicircle. That is something very common in these scams as well, right? You're told you're wonderful, you're great, you're incredible. We've seen how great you are, and because you're all these things, we want you in our group. Um, they'll tell you that Freemasonry or that their order, their Masonic group, is invitation exclusive, which again is meant to make you feel special because it's so exclusive. You have to be invited, as a way to, again, get you to drop your guard. Um, and it's unsolicited, right? You didn't contact them, there's no contact with them, they're getting in touch with you. Um, you have to be very careful as well. If they are contacting you through Facebook and they have a page, you have to be incredibly careful. All right, Lewis, you got a lot of fart jokes, which it's still great to have you, but maybe a few less fart jokes. Because this has happened to Masons I know. Someone goes on their account, takes their picture, um, right clicks on their picture, copies and pastes it, and then puts it onto their Facebook page. And they're saying, like, we are, pretending to be a Mason that they're not. But you see it if you know the Mason, you see their picture on their profile page. Oh, that's Grand Master of the Grand Lodge in New York. So this Facebook page must be legitimate. Or you do a search, you see he's a legitimate Mason, you assume the page is legitimate, right? So things to keep. And also, one thing you very often see, we talked about this with all the other types of frauds and scams. You should, Lewis. My face is so beautiful. That sense of pressure. Very often, you'll get this message, they'll talk you up. We've seen how wonderful you are. We've seen how great you are. We want you to be part of our Masonic group. They'll make it seem super exclusive. Not everybody gets this opportunity. You have to be invited. They promise you things. Join, accept this invitation, you'll get material wealth and you'll get social influence. And they'll create a sense of pressure by creating a limited time offer. But we need to know immediately. We cannot wait on this. It's important that you take the step right now. They do all of those things, right? And then they give you the catch. In order to join, as a show of your support, as a show of your faith, as a show of your trust in us, we require your bank information. We require a payment of $500. You'll get it back plus more down the line, but we require an initial payment of $500, right? Or whatever it could be. They may not even say that on the first time, right? What I found is in some cases, the first thing is just you get to join, congratulations. The target responds, and then the response back is, we're so happy you want to join us. We need $500. We need $500 right off the top of the bat, and then you will get all of these things in return. Well, Lewis, you want to sign up for Freemasonry? It's not this process at all. This is a scam process I'm explaining to you, right? But you can sign up for my channel. So the things you need to keep in mind and remember. First of all, Freemasonry should never promise you money or influence or power for joining. If anybody tells you that by becoming a Freemason you'll get rich, you'll get famous, you'll get power, you'll get influence, they are lying to you. Freemasonry does not offer you riches, does not offer you power, does not offer you influence. Well, they don't mean free in terms of not costing anything. They mean free in terms of either free stone or free ability to move, which dates back to our stonemason guilds, the ability to move and travel. But it's not literal, right? So right off the bat, if someone is saying join Freemasonry, you'll get rich, you'll get famous, it's almost certainly a scam. Second, Freemasonry is not an invite exclusive, that's not how it works. We as Freemasons don't invite people to join. We expect anybody who's interested in joining to take the first step and approach us. We'll talk to you about Freemasonry. I've talked to people about Freemasonry here on the It. But that doesn't mean right, that we're inviting you to join. We expect people to want to approach us and ask us. Yeah, Randall Carlson is the 33rd. He talks about Freemasonry all the time. Is he a 33rd? I wasn't sure if he was yet or not. Maybe he just got it, because the last I heard he wasn't, but that was a few months ago. He's a really cool dude as well. There should never be, and any Freemason who does this is either scamming you or just making a terrible mistake. But there should never be any pressure to join as soon as they can. Like, if any Mason ever tells you, you need to join in the next month, or you can never join or something, that's wrong. There should never be any pressure put on a timeline of joining. You can join this month, you can join next month, you can join 5 years from now. In fact, one thing that a lot of Masonic lodges are being encouraged to do by their grand lodges, and I think it's right, is slow down, right? So it's the opposite. We've been encouraged to slow down, take more time to get to know the person, don't rush the process. Yes, very good point, Lewis. So don't rush the process. And Freemasonry is not pay to play. So there are dues that you have to pay yearly. There is usually a one-time initiation fee. So the total cost to join can be anywhere between $100 to $500, followed by yearly dues of, let's say, $100. It depends. But Freemasonry is not pay to play. So what I mean by that is Freemasonry is not going to say, okay, give us the money and you can join. There's interviews, there's getting to know the person, there's, people go to barbecues or dinners, meeting the brethren, going to social events, getting sponsors. There's a whole bunch of steps that you take. Then Freemasons will have a vote on whether or not to admit you. That's where the term getting blackballed comes, because you vote with white and black balls. And then if the vote is a success, you're advised that now the vote was a success, the vote was positive, you can now join the Masonic Lodge. They set a date for initiation, At that point, they'll talk to you about, bringing a check with you for the dues, right? If the first thing they're asking for is money before they've had any sponsorships, any votes, any discussions in lodge, if the first thing they're asking for is money, that's not how it works. Right? That's the last stage of the process. And most lodges too, or many lodges, if they are doing well financially, may not even ask for, if you can't afford to pay but you want to join, may say, okay, we would like to have you join, so we'll pay through benevolence or something. But anyways, if it's to join, you need to pay X and there's nothing else, then that's almost certainly a scam. There's a million steps that need to take place before you get to even discussion of payment of a check. Um, and also, if you are transferring money to an individual, that is almost certainly a scam, right? So when I pay my dues, I don't pay my dues to John Smith, the secretary of the Masonic Lodge, right? Or to a person. I pay my dues to Windsor Lodge 403, right? Like I'll write a check out to the lodge, send to cash it. There are times if I know the secretary well and I've confirmed his email address, where I will transfer him the money directly or give him cash directly because I know him. I know where it's going. I get my dues card. I'm all set. If you're brand new to Freemasonry, I would recommend never just giving cash to someone or e-transferring to someone. Write a check and make the check specific to the lodge that you're joining. Right? Because again, if I wanted to scam you and I say I'm with the Masonic whomever, but I ask you to make a check out to Cameron Adamson, that's obviously a scam, right? So just know who you're dealing with, get to know them. I would say the biggest red flags, though, in terms of these Masonic scams, promises of money, promises of fame, almost certainly a scam. A sense of urgency, rushing the application process, trying to get people to join right away, almost certainly a scam. Asking for money before any talk of sponsorships, votes, getting to know the brothers, and not knowing where you're sending your money or the person to whom you're sending your money. So be very wary. And the best way to deal with those, talk to the police and find a local Masonic lodge and just let them, a legitimate Masonic lodge, let them know, hey, I got this scam. I want to let you know it's out there. I've got phone calls from people in the community asking me about that. And I just, I talked to them about it. I showed them the real Masonic lodge. I told them it's a scam. Just keep that in mind. So there you go. Yes, I am Megamind, if friend. Please hit like and subscribe. I wouldn't use the term deconverting because Freemasonry is not a conversion. There's been many times when I've been super upset with Freemasonry and thought, do I just want to walk away? I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But I stick around because it gives me purpose. So what have you thought so far? Anybody watching this, has everything I've said made sense to you so far in terms of potential scams and how to avoid them? This was the focus on, and again, I will mention this as well, Square and Compass Promotions. We will never send you a text message or anything like that asking for your banking information. Even when it comes to, for example, YouTube memberships or Patreon memberships, I don't see your banking information. Patreon sees it. YouTube gets it for the purposes of the monthly payments, but I don't see it. And if I'm ever asking for it, I shouldn't be. It's a scam. It's somebody pretending to be me. The other thing is, right, making promises that can't be kept. I always make it very clear if you are, a member of my YouTube channel or if you are a Patreon, that does not mean you're a Freemason. That means you support the channel. Freemasonry is a separate organization. I am here to talk about Freemasonry, why I love it, and promote the ways it is relevant to the communities in which it is and was located. But that is not the same thing. I am grateful if anybody is a member of the channel, supports me through super chats, supports me, however it is that you choose to support me, just by being here, by being a subscriber. That does not make you a Freemason. For that, you need to talk to your local Masonic lodge. Sorry, you are not an associate crypto mason, Mr. Keeps. You are a member of the Square and Compass family, and I am grateful for that. I mean, you have your coin, so that's quite nice. But that does not make you a Freemason. That makes you a member of the Square and Compass family. Maybe one day you'll join Freemasonry. I know you're interested in the York Rite, which is excellent. If you don't, that's perfectly fine as well. Again, there should never be any pressure to join one way or the other. The Satanic Temple is not affiliated with Freemasonry, Lewis. Newcomers, or sorry, I want to talk about frauds that can affect newcomers, because we do have within Freemasonry oftentimes a lot of newcomers. We do not, Lewis, we do not. So, job scams. Fraudsters pretending to be employers searching for new hires. They try to lure you in with a fantastic job opportunity with minimal effort. In turn, they ask for money and personal information and act as if it's part of their application process. Keep your money and information safe. Don't share your details with anyone. Don't respond to calls, text messages, or emails from unknown numbers. Also, don't open any links in a text message from numbers you don't recognize. Validate a job posting legitimacy by checking the company's official website or by calling them. Right? In job scam, fraudsters try to lure, thank you, Aristotle, job seekers with fake career opportunities. They promise high income for little effort. They may ask you for personal and banking information or to use or to launder money. If a job opportunity seems too good to be true, it probably is. A fraudster posts a fake job opportunity on job boards such as Indeed or LinkedIn. The job opportunity often promises high income for little effort. These jobs are often disguised as work from home opportunities and require no credentials. You receive the job opportunity through an expedited hiring process, often without an application or interview. The employer asks for your personal information and banking information and claims it for hiring process. Then they may use your personal bank account to launder money. So warning signs of job scams: no contact information or job description. The employer asks for payment for your training. The employer asks you pay a credit card report. The employer asks you to buy gift cards, Bitcoin, or other cryptocurrency. Asks for personal details such as your SIN number, banking information, or passwords. You receive an email that tells you the employer has reviewed your resume when you didn't send it. Be wary of mystery shopper positions or work from home jobs that may involve receiving and reshipping packages. There's telephone fraud, which we already talked about. Money mule scams. Fraudsters want access to your bank accounts to move their fraudulent funds. They exploit your trust when you may be vulnerable, such as looking for a new job or relationship and needing financial aid. But when you make payments or transfers on their behalf, you'll learn that the funds were fraudulent. By then, it's too late and you've already lost your money. Only send money to people you know. Never agree to send money to someone you never met in person. Look out for unsolicited emails and messages, especially if they offer a prize or money for little to no effort. Cut off contact immediately if you suspect you're being used as a money mule. If you've moved money, let us know right away. When I say let your bank know right away. Yes, we'll send you a check. Yes, absolutely, Rondo. That can happen very often. So a money mule scam is once a fraudster gains your trust, they exploit it by using you as a money mule and accessing your accounts to move fraudulent funds. Money mule scams follow a typical pattern. A fraudster contacts you through channels such as social media, job boards, or dating sites to build trust and connection. I think it still happens sometimes. Once the fraudsters gain your trust, they'll ask you to deposit checks or accept transfers into your account. You won't know what the check or funds are fraudulent. Once you've made the deposit, the fraudster will provide an account, ask you to transfer those funds to them through a wire transfer or email money transfer service. After you've made the transfer, you'll learn the initial funds were fraudulent. By then, you've already lost your money and can be responsible to cover the money you moved. So they tell you they've deposited $5,000 into your bank account. They do some type of computer virus where they make it look like there's 5,000 extra dollars in your account that's not there. You then transfer $5,000 from your account to a different account, and you find out you transferred 5,000 of your own money, and what you thought was in there was not the case. You see that very often. It's always good to create a paper trail, Rondo. Recognize the types of money mule scams. Lottery scam. Fraudsters say you've won a lottery, but you need to pay taxes to claim your prize. If you can't pay them up front, you'll be referred to a third party to provide a check or loan to cover the taxes. After you transfer the tax payment, the third party funds turns out to be fraudulent. You're responsible for covering the money sent. Overpayment scam. A fraudster buys an item you're selling but overpays for it. You refund them the difference. You find out later ever that the original payment was fraudulent. New job offer scam. Foreign government official scam. A fraudster claims to be a foreign government official and asks you to move money out of their country for them. They send you the funds to move to another account, and you move them as instructed. However, the fraudster's payment doesn't clear and you've lost the money you've moved. Inheritance scam. You're told you've inherited money from a relative you never met, but must pay service fees to receive the inheritance. I was a fan of Biden, Adam Levis, not such a fan of Trump. Spot the signs of money mule scams. If you're asked to move money for a stranger or accept their deposit, look out for these warning signs. You've never met the person who's asking you to make the transfer. The person asking you to transfer money makes contact through an unofficial or unsolicited channel. The person asks you to transfer money from a deposit that hasn't cleared yet. You receive an overpayment and are asked to refund the difference. The person cuts off contact after you've made the transfer to them. Send money exclusively to people you know. If you've just talked to someone online, ask a trusted friend or family member for advice or a second opinion. If you're a parent or guardian, know your children and elderly family members are talking to online. Check email addresses from a contact or sender for an official domain, not publicly available ones. Don't agree to transfer funds from a personal bank account. Legitimate businesses and offers won't involve requests to transfer funds. Wait for a deposit to clear your account before you make transfers. That way you won't lose money. If you think you've been contacted by a money mule scam, stop all contact with the individual. Keep notes and references. And if you move money, let them know right away. I do these streams for a few hours. Don't, Aristotle. It's a scam. Do not. If they owe you 5 million, get the 5 million first, then give them 1,000. Don't do it the other way. Nobody listen to these people. If they say you've won money, then you should be able to get the money before you make any deposits, right? Otherwise, it's almost certainly a scam. By the way, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. I will not do that no filter, boss. But what you can do is give me a super chat of 99 cents. That would be much appreciated. And I'm going to be posting all of this stuff, by the way, on my community page on this channel. So you'll pay attention for those. I would be trying to scam you if I promised you get anything for the 99 cents. All you'll get is my eternal thanks and gratefulness. And this channel can continue to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. I mean, I like Biden, not a big fan of Trump, but hey, everybody, to each their own, Adam Levi, to each their own. Everybody kind of gets their own opinions about who they think is best. I will say this, anybody who's down about America, and I know there's a lot of issues in America right now, don't get me wrong. America has demonstrated an incredible ability to take a licking and keep on ticking. In fact, I would say America's demonstrated it's one of the most resilient countries in the world. And good for them. So I think America's going to be okay. I've said it a million times to the point where I'm sure people are getting sick of hearing me say it. But nonetheless, I think Canada is the greatest country in the world, partially because we have the greatest neighbors in the world, right? And I think that's the case. Now, the last thing I'll say talking about these scams is whatever you're doing, never engage, use, pick your term, with more money than you can afford to lose. So even if it's not a fraud per se, if let's say a friend of yours is just suggesting you invest in the stock market, invest in cryptocurrency, invest in whatever it is, and you want to do that, that's fine. I invested in cryptocurrency, but I never invested more than I could possibly lose or would be damaged if I would lose, right? And certainly if it's a scam and they're telling you, you need to send you need to send $50,000 right away, or let's say 10,000, maybe you have $10,000 available, I don't know, but you probably can't afford to lose that, so you probably should not be doing it. I hope that those gave you some ideas and some, I guess what I'd say is I hope that those things both gave you some things to remember if you're concerned about scams this holiday season, and also if you see somebody in your life that you think is being scammed, some warning signs to look out for. Especially if anybody wants you to keep, says, I'm spending a lot of money, but I'm keeping it a secret, I can't tell you. That's a big warning sign. They have to get money right away. That's a big warning sign, I think I am, Rondo. I mean, who knows, right? We could very well be wrong, and America could be on the decline, and then a new country will come up, and such is life, right? The wheel keeps turning. But there's been many times when America has seemed down and out, only to come back stronger and better. And I hope that is still the case. Adam, by the way, if you're not subscribed, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me one more time go over some of the things that I have coming up shortly. I have a lot of Masonic stuff happening. Tomorrow, I have a Masonic Christmas cookie contest, and then I have an official visit at Essex Masonic Temple, one of my favorite Masonic lodges. Thursday, I'm meeting at Great Western. Friday, meeting at Windsor. Saturday, Harmony Lodge installation. I'm the installing master. Then I'm heading to visit a Masonic lodge and some brothers in Chicago. I'm out at breakfast, so I'm going to get some steak and eggs. That'll be nice, especially because it's going to be free. Then I'm going to be meeting with some brethren and some friends and some Masons out of Bogota. Crashing with them. Bogota is going to be a really beautiful place in Colombia. Specifically, I'm going to check out the Museum of Freemasonry in in Bogota. Well, it's actually a museum of Freemasonry in South America. Someone asked me if um, I thought numbers in Freemasons would increase or decrease next year. In North America, my suspicion is decrease, but South America, my suspicion is increase. So on the December 15th, I will be mailing out all of the holiday gifts for Patreon members. So be prepared for that. On the 17th, I'm going to be doing the Salvation Army Christmas kettles, and I'll live stream a little bit from there just because I always love doing it. It's so much fun. 20th, I'm getting a tattoo with my friends. I'll live stream that. The 21st of December, 24-hour live stream. Yes, they would, Aristotle. You can't just start a Masonic group. Normally, you have to be a Mason already. If there are no Masonic lodges in your area at all, like no legitimate Masonic groups to join, what you need to do then is contact your Grand Lodge. So if you're in Texas, and let's say there's no Masonic lodges in your town, you need to contact the Grand Lodge of Texas, and you need to ask them about starting a lodge in your area. There would be a whole process to go through. Now, if you want to start like a Masonic podcast or whatever, you can just do that on your own. The amount of success you have will depend on, how well known it becomes. But to start an official Masonic lodge, the first step is contact the Grand Lodge. But if there are lodges in your area, it's much easier and a much simpler process to just join a Masonic lodge in your area already, as opposed to joining a new one or trying to start a new one. Because it can be a very, very long, very challenging process. I'm sure almost every town has a Masonic lodge. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't say for sure, but I feel like most small towns in Texas will have a Masonic lodge. There is not, right? Aristotle, a lot of people think there is an international leader of Freemasons that represents us on a global scale, but there's not. Freemasonry is a jurisdictional entity. In some cases, it's state by state, province by province. But for example, the Grand Lodge of Ontario makes rules for Freemasons in Ontario. Those rules do not apply outside of Ontario. The extent to which we interact with each other around the world is through something called regularity and recognition. It is, relatively speaking. Again, it's declining everywhere, unfortunately, but it'll grow over time. Again, there's a lot of great Freemasons in Texas. I've actually done, Rondo, a lot of interviews with brethren from Texas. Brad Billings, Stanley Omar, a bunch, and I've loved them. I think Freemasonry in Texas has an absolutely incredible history. So. There's a lot of Freemasonry in Asia. I think Freemasonry in Asia might grow in 2026 too. I don't know for sure. Nobody can know, right? But it's very popular in the Philippines. It's growing quite rapidly. There's lodges in Hong Kong, Macau, Japan. Again, Philippines, very popular. India, Pakistan, I believe. I'm trying to think of other countries in Asia right now. Goodbye, Dad. I'll send you those dates so you've got them. So yeah, it's very popular. right now in Asia, and it's growing. One of my favorite kind of Masonic events that I took part in was visiting Freemasons in the Philippines. It was a really special time. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Well, that's where a lot of people think of, right? Technically, it's interesting history. The term lodge came from a word LUD, which referenced where Freemasons met um, in their where Freemasons met on their work site. So they would be building whatever they're building, anything from a pyramid to a wall or to a house. They'd have the work site itself, and then they'd have a tent next to it. And that tent is where they would store their equipment, store their tools. It's where they would take breaks. Um, it's where they would have lunch. And it was I think it was like Lud, L-U-D. And eventually that became lodge. So that's where the term lodge comes from, interestingly enough. A little bit of our Masonic history for the day. Maybe I'll make that a poll question coming up. Yeah, you could call it that, the foreman's trailer. You could definitely call it that. Um, I'm going to give this another few minutes. Just going to see who else jumps in the chat to say hello. Then I'll be leaving this stream. I will be back on stream tonight at 1 a.m. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. Well, Freemasons, we're vegetarian. We don't want no beef with anybody. So we in Freemasonry do not have enemies. I will say there are different groups that are not fans of Freemasons. A lot of people will bring up the Catholic Church and point out that the Catholic Church historically has not been a huge fan of Freemasons. Um, but that's not on our end. I know many Catholic Freemasons, right? There are people, individuals, conspiracy theorists, certainly, who have issues with Freemasons for, they've been told incorrect information. They gather information in, whatever it might be. They share conspiracy theories and false information about Freemasonry. In some ways, social media has been an enemy of Freemasonry in that it's allowed false information about Freemasonry to flourish. Having said all of that, again, we within Freemasonry do our best to, and we do, like, we welcome men of all different faiths, beliefs, backgrounds, religions. Same thing with the women's Masonic orders. So yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of different reasons for that. Aristotle, the main reason came, or to me, the main synthesis of the reasoning comes from Pope Leo the 13th. He wrote Humanum Genus in 1888, which is a papal encyclopedic, basically a paper he authored expressing the church's opposition to Freemasonry, and that kind of cemented the Catholic opposition to Freemasonry. Primarily, it has to do with, I believe, a misunderstanding of what Freemasonry is. Because we're not a religion, we're a civic institution. We welcome men of all different faiths and religions. But the Catholic Church considers that, I forget the term, but basically considers that to be, like, if I was a Catholic priest and I said, in this church, all religions are treated equally, that wouldn't be okay because it's a Catholic church. It, reflects the Catholic faith. Freemasonry is not a religion. And there was this idea that we were taking men away from their religious beliefs and encouraging them into a new religious belief that, treats all religions as equal. But it's a civic organization, so by definition, it has to treat all religions as equal. It's no different than if you go to court. Let's say you're Catholic and you are called to testify in court, and you may take your obligation to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on a Bible. But a Muslim may take it on a Quran. An indigenous person may take it on a feather or a totem of his faith or her faith. A Jewish person on the Torah, Hindu on, I forget the name of his book. But you never, the Catholic Church would never say, don't go to the court, don't respect don't respect their authority, because they are, bringing men of different beliefs in and treating them all equally. Because court is not a religious institution, it's a civil institution. Freemasonry is the same way. Also, Freemasons were supportive of democracy and the belief that authority over individuals is properly exercised through democratic means, through votes. You vote for the worshipful master of the lodge. Democracy has always been a core tenet of Freemasonry. The Catholic Church felt that idea was a threat to the Catholic Church's idea, which is all of us, which is the idea of authority being invested through divine right? If that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Aristotle, that's a good way to look at it. They wanted every group in society really to be Catholic or nothing. But certainly any group where men are congregating, where there is some type of volume of sacred law, whatever it might be, to be respectful of one faith, that being Catholicism. You're not wrong as well, Rondo. There was an element of that 100%, so you're not incorrect. That was an element of it as well. It was kind of my hope that with the new Pope, being from Chicago, being born in the 1959, at a time when Freemasonry was very ubiquitous, maybe he'd have a softer or a different view of Freemasonry, having grown up around it more so than other popes may have, but seems like that's not the case. Thank you. I mean, that's what I love about Freemasonry. I love the ideals of religious tolerance. I love the ideals of democracy and democratic power. I think those are the greatest, those Enlightenment era ideas that exist within Freemasonry that I think are so valuable. If you are just joining us, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know how you are doing. And if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, let me know. I hope that you enjoyed enjoyed is one term. I found informative, maybe a better term, the information about how to spot scams, Masonic or otherwise, and what to do if you think you've spotted one, or if your friend thinks he spotted one, or if you have somebody friend or family who is potentially victim of or being the victim of a crime. Hope that maybe that helped give you some ideas. For now, though, let's just wait and let's see who else joins. Good. It's good that he's proud of it. Well, I mean, you can ask him if now. I hope I may be giving you some understanding of it. Again, your uncle, may have some different ideas about it, which is great. Everybody has different views on Freemasonry. It's one of the greatest strengths, I think, of Freemasonry, is that people have different views of it. I think it makes it stronger. is you have it's a common purpose, but individual not even a common purpose. How do I want to say this? It's common understandings or common it's common understandings, common meetings, but with individuality of purpose, individuality of expression, individuality of understanding. Thank you, I'm gonna call you 420. Thank you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you as well. I hope that you will hit the like button and the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. Yeah, eating is a big part of Freemasonry. Eating is a very important part of it. You have to have dinner after lodge. You're a taco guy? Okay. Well, you can, if this is a different account, you can still hit the like and subscribe button and would be much appreciated. But I'm happy that you're here. Do you have any plans for the holiday season? Okay, say just different name. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Any plans for the holiday season? Let me know. Nice. Sometimes that's the best holiday, having your family, staying home. Sometimes that can absolutely be the best holiday season. You do. It depends on how much. It really depends on the lodge itself and how big it is and what its expenses are. For me, I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges, and I pay anywhere between $100 to $500 American for each lodge. So my usual cost is about 400 US per year to be a Freemason in 5 lodges. If I'm a member of a single lodge, then it costs me just $100. So between 1 and 2, right? But so, I know some lodges it's as little as $40 US per year. I know some lodges it's as expensive as like $500 per year. If it's in New York, in the city, and they, rent out space or they own a building, it's probably gonna be more expensive than small town USA. Well, what I would say, Aristotle, is if you're interested, you can at least start the process. And again, you don't know, it could be as little as $40 US per year. So I always say at the start, don't worry about how much it will cost. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just make contact if you're interested in joining and you're interested in learning more, right? Just start with that and then move from there. And if as the process goes, you find out you can't afford it, at least you've made contact and you've started the process and you can resume the process when you're a bit more financially stable. Would be my advice. We're going to give this another, let's say, 5 minutes. We'll wait to see if anyone else jumps on. Then I'll be ending this gym. We'll be back on at 1 a.m. though. So I hope to see everybody there if possible. No, I appreciate you being here very much. So thank you so much for your being here. And I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, we're just going to wait to see if anyone else jumps in the chat to say hello. Like I said, I'll be ending this stream shortly. Be back on at 1 a.m., then 1 p.m. tomorrow. Again, congratulations to Alexander, I want to make sure I pronounce his last name correctly, Moncrief. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Alexander Moncrief, new Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons of Scotland. No, I know it was Survivor Series this past weekend, but I didn't watch it. I heard though it was a pretty good show. Um, I heard Brock Lesnar absolutely crushed it, as of course he did. He's one of the all-time greats. I think he might be in. I would think Brock Lesnar could be in contention for GOAT category. So, greatest of all time is what that means, by the way. Shoot, what's your question? What was the best part of the Survivor Series 420, in your opinion? I mean, I would be terrified to get into a fight with any of those guys, but I'd be particularly terrified to get into a fight with Brock Lesnar, that's for sure. No, not to my knowledge. I mean, Scottish Rite famously, even though it's called Scottish Rite, it actually came from France. But no, I mean, it's a recognized body in Scotland, to my knowledge. I mean, I'd have to double check, but I don't believe so. Good coffee. And there's no such thing as a random question. I appreciate all the questions. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end this stream now. Thank you all so much. Maybe check me out 1 a.m. I'd love to see you guys there. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.